But you want to take some calls?
Yes, let's go ahead and get to the calls.
We've got Harold in Lumberton. How are you?
Hey, how's it going, Matt?
Pretty good.
Good.
I guess I called in on a good day, religion and depression, because religion does make me depressed. I like to say that I was born into a Catholic family. I became an altar boy, so I served the church for many years, and believed in God until I was about 15.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm, I guess, an outed atheist, you could say. My whole family is Catholic or religious in some sense, and basically my mom doesn't even like me or my daughter, who is 12, to even say the word atheist in her house.
Sure.
Yeah.
Which is kind of hard because we're not allowed to express who we really are. We don't put those kind of, oppressive rules on anybody else in our family. Anybody can talk about anything in my house. But I want to get to the point while I called is I go to college. It's a small college, and I'm in a small Mississippi town. And so religion is, a daily topic.
Is it a private college or a state college?
It is it's a Pearl River Community College. I don't know if it's actually a private or a state college, but they do receive state money.
Yeah, that's a community college. So.
I'm a veteran, so I know they're getting money from the government.
Yeah.
I get Pell Grants. I know they're getting money from the government.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so on a day-to-day basis, I see flyers, religious flyers, inviting people off of campus to come do this, come do that.
Yeah, and that's okay. That's
Is that totally legal?
Yeah,
Yep.
it is.
And it's also legal for you to put up flyers. One of the things about this is that because they're allowing the religious groups to do this, they have to also allow you to do it as well. Otherwise, it's discrimination. And by the way, from two veterans sitting up here, thanks to you for your service as well.
Thank you guys for your service as well. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
And yes, just so America knows, you have godless, baby-killing people defending you. Not the baby killing.
Yeah.
But, you do have atheists defending your country.
Yeah, there are plenty of atheists in foxholes, and actually they're the ones that I want in the foxholes, because I'd rather have the person who realizes that his or her ass is grass and that they need to make a decision and do something, than the one who decides that this is the time to start praying.
Yeah.
Right. And I was just online looking at something, and hopefully atheists do get chaplains. They need somebody they can go talk to, and I hope this does get pushed through.
Yeah, short of defunding or, disestablishing the chaplains corps altogether, we really do need secular chaplains in the military. But just as an upside, I will tell you that down in San Antonio, they've got a lot of the Air Force enlisted training that goes on there at Lackland, and they actually do have a humanist meeting on Sunday. And I just read from a friend of mine on Facebook that they had 46 airmen basics at this humanist meeting this weekend. So, so these things are happening in the training installations, and so people are coming into the military as non-believers, and they are creating, I guess this actually wasn't created by the airmen themselves. It's actually some permanent party people there who realized that, young people coming into the military need the support of a community. And so they formed a community for these young non-believers coming into the military. So this is happening.
Well, that's great news to hear.
I'm kind of with Jen on this, in that, until we get rid of the chaplaincy, I think there should definitely be secular chaplains there for all the, and because one of the things I would think that religious individuals should probably be complaining about the chaplains a little bit more, because in order to try to serve everybody, they have really watered everything down in some cases. And so what you end up with is the chaplain who doesn't want to say anything about anything, trying to minister to a whole bunch of people, and then the fundamentalist chaplain, and those are your only two options, because nobody's ever going to tell that fundamentalist that he needs to be, more wide in his interpretation or her interpretation.
Yeah, and so you end up with a watered down flavor. And the only chaplains in my experience in the military, the only chaplains who do that, respect everybody's beliefs and be inoffensive are the Unitarian Universalists. They're the only ones that can do that because that's what they do.
I think we need, what we really need, irrespective of whether we get rid of the chaplaincy, is trained, qualified mental health professionals, grief counselors, people who are trained in dealing with PTSD,
absolutely,
people who understand when somebody does or doesn't need leave. What qualifies as an emergency for that individual that we might not have recognized. Of course, when a family member dies, everybody's like, oh, well, yeah, that's obvious. But if maybe there's a family member or a close personal friend that was part of raising you, that this could be even more traumatic than losing a parent. And there may be a lot of other situations like that that it would be really handy to have experts. And I know that I think the military does have some experts, but they're not stationed all the time with people the way chaplains are.
Right.
It's just, kind of turning gears here, well, staying on the same subject is that, often atheists, we feel alone, and I'm glad I found your show. Me and my daughter both watch it. But an atheist, especially in the South, as you guys know, you can find yourself alone.
Yeah. Actually, I was having a conversation, in fact, with Dave Silverman last night on the Bat Cruise. And we were talking about how a lot of times as an atheist in a community, you feel alone and you feel like you can't be really yourself with people because you can't divulge the fact that you're an atheist in some communities. And so,
but the problem is you pay a price, and you
absolutely,
guys are well aware of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so
when
you do finally tell people that you're an atheist, they reject you.
Right.
And ironically enough, they reject you at the point when you are being the most authentic, the most real to them. And they say, no, we're not going to accept you.
Right.
So, and that's very much like it was coming out as gay or lesbian like 25 years ago when you couldn't say these things to people. You had to pretend that you were heterosexual or you might get rejected by people you cared about deeply.
I just saw a poll yesterday. It was an older poll 10 years ago, and they said, who would you be least likely to vote for? And atheist was number one. So before atheist, you would have a gay president, a Muslim president, and then it was black and a couple other distinctions. But I couldn't believe that,
Must be a very old poll.
Well, there was that University of Minnesota, Minneapolis? I don't remember. Yeah. Anyway, there are a couple quick points I wanted to make before we end up moving on to another caller. One thing, on your topic, when I was talking about not paint with a broad brush, one of the ways in which I don't want to do that is to fail to recognize that depression affects everybody.
Yeah.
And actually there's fairly serious depression in the atheist community in some regards related to like philosophical ideas like nihilism.
Yeah.
This idea that, ultimately everything's going to end, so that makes it all meaningless. And I fight against this all the time with people because it doesn't make it meaningless. The sort of meaning and purpose that people are feeling despondent about are the things that we'd find objectionable. If the government picked what everybody's job was going to be, if your parents picked your major, we'd rebel against that. And yet some people are instead comforted by the idea that there is this God who has dictated what your purpose is going to be in life, and that the world would just be a terrible place if that wasn't true. And instead, if it's not true, which I have no reason to think that it is, you get to pick your own meaning and purpose in life, and your life gets to be whatever you want it to be. Yeah. And isn't that exactly what we'd all want?
Yeah, and that's, to me, it's much more beautiful to think that everything evolved and we're almost a random chance. That's much more beautiful than someone snapped his fingers and put us here. And that's a conversation me and my daughter have a lot. Yeah. And I know you need to go to another caller, Matt, so I'll make this quick.
Sure.
When I remember I first told my stepdad that I didn't believe in God, you know what he told me? He said, then why don't you kill yourself?
Yeah, we get emails like that all the time.
I've heard it before, and actually I've responded to this a number of different ways, but about a week or so ago, Ricky Gervais said something in an interview, which is probably a much shorter and better version of what I used to say, which is, atheists have nothing to die for and everything to live for.
Exactly.
So,
me and my child, we have one life to live, and we're going to live it to the fullest. And while we're doing that, we're not going to go around killing. We're going to live our lives, and we're going to treat people how we want to be treated, and we're going to try to make the world a better place while we're here.
Good on you, Harold. Thanks for calling.
Right.
Thank you, guys.
Well, and I would go further and say that most Christians are not actually living their lives. They're just waiting to die. Because
well, that's, this is just a place to wipe your feet before the real life.
Yeah.
And by the way, I know we're today in particular, we've talked a lot about Christians. I would imagine that the study that you looked at was primarily looking at Christians.
It didn't specify.
It was just religious and spiritual in general.
And spiritual beliefs.
If we have people watching the show who are Muslims, Hindus, Scientologists, please let me have a Scientologist call.
Please call.
Feel free to call in. And people ask, why do you guys do this show? First of all, it's about promoting and having discussions. I don't believe in any gods. I might rail against the Christian God more because it's the one where the followers are the most prominent in my culture, actually affecting people's rights. And it's the one that I'm most familiar with because I grew up in that tradition. But we don't believe in any gods here. Thor, Zeus, so, but it's a caller-driven show, so we're going to talk about whatever the callers want to talk about for the most part. But when people ask why we do it, the quick and easy answer is because it works. When we started broadcasting the show, the show's been on for 15 years or so, and I've been hosting for about 8 now. And when it started hitting the internet, we would get occasional emails. Oh, thank you guys so much for the show. It's really helped me out. I used to be a fundamentalist. I used to identify as an agnostic. I used to be a moderate theist of some stripe or whatever. And now I have better arguments, or I identify as an atheist, or identify as a skeptic, or identify as a humanist. And that would happen on occasion, and then it would happen with a little more frequency. And now it's many times a week, and every convention I go to, there are people coming up saying, thank you so much for what you guys have done, because the work that you guys have done on the show has really been helpful. I only needed one person to ever say that to make every batshit crazy call worth it. But the fact is there's thousands of them at this point. And it's because of the efforts of the people working behind the scenes and the people who are up here and the actual callers who allow us to have the conversation. So.
Oh, and I will add that in about 3 weeks, the show will actually enter its 17th year of production. 17
years, see?
So
I skipped a whole year.
So we're wrapping up 16 years on the air.
Yeah, this is show 8. Well, it's show number 833.
Yeah.
Not every number has a show. They started a tradition where if we skip a week, it still gets a number, and that's kind of confusing. But there's still lots and lots and lots and lots of them. But Corey in Schenectady, thanks for waiting.
Hi, Matt?
Yeah, it's Matt and Jen. You're on the air.
Hi. I've called before, and I really want to say that I'm sorry. I went off the religious deep end. I really want to give you a heartfelt apology. And I'm all right with the fact that you don't believe in Jesus. I believe that hell's like a state of mind rather than a place of fire and torment. I put myself in that place, with major depressive disorder because of my religious beliefs.
Okay. And, I don't remember what you had said before, but I'll accept your apology.
Okay. Thanks. I just want to say I believe in a Jesus for everyone, like a universal Jesus, like a hippie Jesus, Republican, Democrat, Metallica Jesus, and even a Jesus for atheists.
Okay, but I don't know what that means, because if something...
I don't either.
So why do you believe it then? What value? If you don't know what it means, and we can't see any value in it, why would you even say that you believe it? Isn't it just completely irrelevant?
It could be.
Okay.
And you're okay with that?
Yeah. I mean, it's like... me as with a Christian, I don't want to say I'm a Christian. It's like AA. I go to AA sometimes. And they say you don't have to call yourself an alcoholic to be a member. And I don't want to call myself Christian. I just believe in Jesus.
Why?
Jesus.
I got a question. Why would you go to AA if you're not an alcoholic?
That's a good point.
I don't mean to be insulting, Corey, but if you're not for real, there's other callers waiting. Because this just isn't making any sense to me. Do you just not care whether or not what you believe is true?
No, I care. But like I said, I just believe in a Jesus for everyone.
I don't even know what that means.
That's okay.
Neither does Corey.
Yeah.
And that's what's baffling is...
That's okay.
Why is it okay to say that you believe things when you have no idea what they mean or what use they would be? Why is that okay?
Why do you have a problem with it?
Well, because I prefer to believe as many true things and as few false things as possible. And so if I believe a bunch of things that I don't understand and that are, I'm not even sure how you could say that you do, because belief is the acceptance of a proposition as true. And if you don't understand the proposition, I don't even know how you can claim to believe it. So it sounds like to me what you're actually doing is paying lip service to some generic idea in the hopes that you have a broader appeal to people, when really, if something can mean anything to anyone, it means nothing to no one.
And okay, so.
Okay, thanks for calling.
All right.
Later.
I
Put down the
in,
bong.
I believe in beer and pizza for everyone, but you know.
Yeah,
those can be demonstrated to be true and tasty.
some days it's amazing.